I have two kids. I have a girl and a boy. My girl, she's always loved sleeping. Even in the womb, she loved sleeping. She was 8 days delayed. She didn't want to come out. And her delivery took like 4 to 5 hours. So she always loved sleeping. I've never had an issue with her when it comes to sleeping. However, my son, on the other hand, he was a week early. He wanted to come out early. He doesn't sleep. He never really had a full 5 hours or 6 hours of sleep until recently, probably 2 years ago, I would say. He's 7 now. So sleep was very tough on our household. He was averaging 3 to 4 hours of sleep a night, even from birth. So I would say he was totally different from my daughter, and obviously because he's also on the autism spectrum, sleep is one of the main conditions that come with having autism. Every day is a learning curve. You never, in the world of parenting or in the tribe of parenting, you never stop learning. I have to be honest. The learning keeps coming, and for me, sometimes I'm like, and one other thing is the fact that you get to juggle so many things, and you don't know how you are able to even complete so many tasks in a day. And sometimes at the end of the day, when I am in my mommy time zone, I call that, and I look at what I have accomplished in the day, I'm always amazed, like, how did I get to do all this in a day, right? So all mothers, kudos to all mothers, they have a superpower. They really do have a superpower, I would say. So it has really surprised me about being a parent, I would say, in terms of how we are all able to juggle so many things at the same time. You have a child crying here, you have a child asking questions here, you have a child needing help with something, and you have a child sick, you have to cook, you have to do so many things. Yeah, I mean, I don't think I'm saying anything new. All parents know this. So for my son, we went to visit the doctor, and he was flapping his hands a lot, and he asked us to get him tested, and we did. For me, it was shocking, but not shocking. Like, obviously, it's almost like someone is confirming something to you. I never really connected why he wasn't talking or why he was flapping his hands or why he was having those behaviors, because I thought, he's an 18-month-old, 19, 20-month-old child. Those things happen in every child does that, right? And I have not learned, or I didn't know much about special needs. So when the doctor said that behavior, it's telltale signs of special needs, I'm like, oh, okay. Yes, I was shocked. But then few hours after, I'm like, this got to be what it is, right? And so I'm not saying I didn't grieve the experience. I didn't grieve it, because obviously every parent have thoughts about what they think their children should be, and I certainly did. I am that type. I always kind of map things out and determine oh, this is going to happen, this will happen in your future, kind of like, what's going to happen. No, no. This was totally a shock to me. But after some time, after a few hours, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna grieve this and then get him the help, as much help as he needed. Wow, raising a son on a spectrum has been very challenging. Not to say raising a neurotypical child, or my daughter has not. It has been, it also has been challenging, by raising a child on the spectrum, because I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know what to expect. It has been more challenging, and it's just put me on a different trajectory in terms of parenting skills, because if you have a nonverbal child, how do you even communicate with that child? How do you connect with that child, and a child is not speaking, and they're 2 years or 3 years old, they're not speaking? If they want water, how do you know? If they are sick, how do you know? So let me give an example. Now my son is verbal due to the treatment and the holistic lifestyle we've been living for the past 4 years. However, when he was nonverbal and he was sick, I didn't know about it. I was going to tell you something. So most recently, like probably a little over a month ago, he told me that his upper lip was hurting him for so long when he was about 4 years old, but because he couldn't talk, he couldn't tell me about it, right? So for a parent to hear that is really challenging. Like he was in so much pain and he couldn't communicate that to me. So probably he did communicate, because even if they are nonverbal, they have their own form of communication. But I didn't code it at that point. I didn't know how to code it. I wouldn't figure it out. It's just so hard if they are nonverbal, right? It's just so hard to figure it out. So an example like that is really challenging as a parent. And for my neurotypical daughter, who doesn't have any special needs, the challenging part of it is really not on learning some of the things that I have learned growing up, in terms of putting her interest first and also making her voice heard, right? And not imposing my rules and and Ghanaian culture policies on her. I said previously, I grieved a lot about it, but I had to start getting as much information as possible and get the help that we all needed in this journey of ours. But yes, I did grieve. Grieving is part of the process. Acceptance, grieving, acknowledging that this is what it is and not denying it is very critical to us getting help. Because if you don't accept it or you keep denying it, you are going to block yourself or the energy to really get the help that the child needs. So, hand flapping, takes steaming. In autism, steaming is a lot of humming and noise making, almost like singing, but it's humming throughout. It's not obviously non-verbal. Eye contact. I always say is tricky, because I know a lot of even the adults who are on the spectrum don't like eye contact. So even though they are married or they have families, they still don't like it. But yes, those were some of the symptoms. And playing alone, lining up cars, lining up crayons in different color codes, because again, many of them think in pink patterns, so they are pattern thinkers. So when you see your child lining up cars according to color codes, sometimes red, blue, green, and red, blue, green, almost like he already knows how to do patterns. Those are some of the signs. Yes, you would think, when you see those things, you think, oh yeah, he's very smart, or she's very smart. wow, she's a color coding already. Yes, that's how they think, but that's also, that could be a sign that, yeah, that they're on the spectrum. We did a lot of therapy. We began with in-home therapy, and we continued on with ABA. All those therapies did not really work because what was missing was identifying what the root causes are of the symptoms, right? Because therapy for us, or in our experiences, is just to cover the symptoms. It's not really addressing. Therapy is good, don't get me wrong, therapy is great. However, it doesn't really address the root cause of why the child is not speaking, why the child is always sick, why are they having all these symptoms, right? It's almost like the therapist come in to try and get the child to understand a world in which their brain is not ready to understand. So if the cause of that brain, so to speak, malfunctioning is not addressed, right, it's hard to get the child to step outside of that world they are in into the therapist world. So given that information, we moved to holistic treatment, where we used food as the main basis, or the main cause, or the main cure or treatment for the root causes of the symptoms. So therapy we did, but what was the game changer was using food, right? Food, herbs, and taking toxin out of the diet, taking toxins out of our home, completely overhauling our lifestyle, right, was the game changer to my son's health. Very well, I would say. Obviously, for someone who was nonverbal for some time, for a long time, for a parent, even 2 years is a long time, who was nonverbal, and then is now a social butterfly, and it's doing very well, very healthy. We get sick, he rarely does. He's doing very well. So it has been a huge progress. It has been a huge success as being on this journey. And I'm not the only mom who has gone through this journey. A Google away will tell you so many moms have testimonies about this journey. And it has been eye-opening, even for our entire family, and how health, or what we consume, is very important to our health, I would say. So all in all, it has been a great success. Time and consistency is key, and especially when you embark on a journey where you didn't really, you were not really in for a long time. Like, I used to eat healthy, but I didn't know even natural flavors in food or yeast in food can really has detrimental effect on the brain, right? I didn't know all that. So me now being very conscious of what I consume has been a great lesson to my lifestyle and my health. It has been a great lesson to the entire family. And the other part is not just with food, but the other part is the fact that we all think differently. All human beings, we all have specific way of thinking and looking at things and learning, especially when it comes to learning. We all learn differently, and appreciating differences is what makes us human, and what makes this human race I guess what makes the world a better place. We all can be the same, is what I'm trying to get at. So those are all the lessons, because for me, I thought everybody thinks the same, everybody looks at things the same. So if I say something to someone, or if I see a picture, I'm expecting the person seeing another person seeing the same picture, I'm expecting them to interpret it the same way that I am interpreting it, right? But no, one of the biggest lessons is that's not true. right? We can see the same picture, we can interpret it different ways. It gets better. You just have to get the right treatment. You have to educate yourself. You have to research a lot and on your child's symptoms, and you have to get to the root cause, right? Therapists are great, right? But getting to the root cause of the problem is key to healing, right? And again, it's not healing the son from autism, because the brain has already been formed. It's really healing the child from the conditions, from the many medical conditions that come with having autism. Steaming, sleepless night, eczema, constipation, huge in the autism community. Constipation is very huge, and other illnesses that comes with it. So you just have to get to the root cause of it and try and identify what the solutions that will best work for your family. For us, it was food and herbs. Using food as medicine was key for us. So I would say to any parents, learn a lot about the symptoms, learn a lot about what is causing it, and then learn a lot about how to address it. One of the signs is if your child likes playing alone, because we are all social beings, right? We all like to play with other people, connect with people. So if the child is not connecting and they are always playing alone and don't want to be touched, or and the child doesn't have the eye contact that you always say, the child doesn't is not speaking at certain age, the child is having constipation is normally a good sign. The child having constipation all the time, those are some of the signs you look out for before your child gets diagnosis. Don't listen to yourself. Don't deny it immediately, but just take the data as you observe in your child before you go for diagnosis, and then you will know it when it's happening. For me, because I didn't know anything about autism, right, I didn't really connect it. However, I would say if you know something about autism and you are seeing the signs in your child, there's a high probability that that's what it is, and so you got to get them tested and checked. Because I live in a holistic environment now, looking back, I think immunization was challenging. At the time, it was nothing. I didn't have any feelings towards it, but I would say when they get the needle and they cry, obviously no parent wants to see their kids cry, right? So that makes it sad. But now, given what I have learned over these few years after my son's diagnosis, immunization in my mind, it is very challenging. It's a very challenging topic in the holistic community. It is something that I wish I had studied and researched more before taking my children to to be immunized. I just did what the doctors told me. I just went ahead and immunized my children because that's what most people do. Not everybody, a lot of people don't, but that's what most people do. So looking back, I would say for now in my head, immunization is challenging. If I have to immunize my children now, it would be a challenging experience for me. The fact that you can have two kids from the same parents and they are totally different, and that's the one. The second one is the fact that even though they are your children, they are very much individual people, and they come into this world with their own interests. They come into this world with their own predetermined nature, and there's nothing much you can do about it as a parent. So yes, it has really surprised me. Yes, because I have a boy and a girl, and I don't expect them to be the same. What I'm really referencing is the fact that they have totally different mindsets. My daughter, she is a very right brain dominant person. She loves art, entertainment, music, dance. Um, yeah, she's good with math and science, but she is more comfortable doing acting, doing dancing, singing, playing instrument. She's more comfortable in sketching, those type of arts. That is really dominant in the right brain. And then my son, on the other hand, I would say, is really 90 to 95% left brain. He is very much a pattern thinker. He is very much the math and science dominant person. He has no interest in dancing. He has no interest in singing. He has no interest in policy or government or history. He kind of like history depending on what the storyline is, right? But for me, understanding how each of them, their brain works, has been very critical to how I'm raising them. So yeah, that's what makes them very different. That's why I said, even if they are from the same womb, they can have totally two different brain depending on what side of the brain they're dominant in. And I believe it's critical for every parent to understand the brain dominance part in terms of the brain, the right and the left brain. No, I do not know what I'm doing at all. Every day it's a learning curve. Every day I am learning something new about parenting. Um, I love parenting. I love being a mom, but it is challenging because it keeps you on your toes. Um, I'm always up at night researching and learning about parenting. Nobody gives you a playbook, or no one prepares you for being a parent. And I kind of like just go with the flow. Yeah, I do. I have a tribe or a community. I have family and friends. Even though I'm in the States, obviously I wish I had constant help in the Ghanaian community, because my Ghanaian mothers or friends who are parents have help. They have a ton of help, I would say, compared to what we get here. But I do have help. I get babysitters coming in. I have my parents, and I have some friends that help out. Unconditional love. The fact that you get unconditional love from your children, regardless of how many times you scold them, or how many times you, the parents, you know you are in the wrong, right? And also you, the parents, giving that same unconditional love to them, irrespective of who they are becoming as individuals. So yes, that is what unconditional love is about. You find unconditional love in children, and you find it in parents.